Welcome, YouTubers, once again to the Eastern Division of the Stink Bug Works, that super secret research and development division of Dr. Jet Laboratories. Today we're going to talk about bonding the plastic bottom, the plastic sheet bottom, to the hull. Now, some people said, oh, can I use fiberglass? Can I use wood? Yeah, you know what? I kind of want to keep all these things the same weight. One reason I chose styrene plastic is it's cheap. It's cheaper than wood. It's cheaper than fiberglass, and you can cut it with scissors. Come on, guys. Let's be cheap. So I'm going to use plastic. And I'm going to use this expanding polyurethane glue. In order to ensure a good joint, you know, this plastic, as it comes from the factory, it's real smooth. So I rough it up with some, in this case, 80 grit sandpaper, and then I wipe it down real good with this stuff right here. Everybody should have some of this stuff in their shop. That's isopropyl alcohol, rubbing alcohol. So what I've done is I've taken my little blocks of wood and I've drilled holes through them to match the strut. And I've come in here, and my particular dimension was 2.5 inches from this edge to this edge. That's just the way it worked out with the rudder and the rudder linkage. You do not have to do exactly that. You can do anything you want. You can have them pointy. You can have them weird shaped. You might even consider, you know, moving the step forward a little bit. CG winds up being back here. And if the steps moved up forward, the CG will move a little bit with it. So that'll give you more room to work. Your call. I'm going to work with this. So here's the plan. I've roughed this up. I've cleaned it with rubbing alcohol. I'm going to hit this foam with just a bit of, you know, water. I'm going to hit this block too, because here's what I'm going to do. I want to make sure the block is sitting flush down there, and there's a couple thousandths here. So what I'm going to do, so I'm going to weight this thing down and put all the glue right here on top. So as it expands, the glue is going to come around the edges and force this thing down. And then the rest of the glue I'll just put here. So this is wetted out. I'm going to put, first I'm going to decide which side I want on the out. And let's see, the one closest to the hole and lowest is that way, so I want it this way out. So that's going to go like that. And here we go. So we're going to take our expanding polyurethane glue. Remember, a little goes a long way. And we're going to run a bead along here. And this may be more than I need. You may come back in a few hours and see a chocolate mess. You never know. So but you see about how much I'm putting on. When we see the results, you'll know if this is too much. So there we go. Oh, and a blob on top of here. A good healthy blob. So this goes in here like this. I'm going to leave it sticking out a little bit so I can push it in later. I put tape on the bottom just to prevent glue from getting on there and making a mess. You don't have to do that. I chose to do that because I thought it'd be neater. And I'm using this right here because it's got a good sharp edge. My light table doesn't have a good edge. So I'm pushing this up against the edge. We'll take a flat surface and a weight. And then I'll come back here and I'll push my little block into where it's flush. Things will move around in there. It'll be fine. And I'm pushing the foam sheet or the styrene sheet so it's get a good butt joint here. What's going to happen is there'll be a doubler that goes across here and glues onto here. And rather than using the expanding Gorilla Glue, I've got the non-expanding that I'll use for this joint. I would like to use CA or model airplane glue, but that'll destroy the foam. So I'm limited in adhesives, so I'm going to use water-based, or not water-based, but the clear non-expanding polyurethane glue to glue that doubler in. And that'll give me a good solid joint there, and that firms up the whole aft side, and that's the aft side of your boat. You see how simple these things are? Oh, look what's under here. Here's something I was going to show you. When I cut that little notch for the rudder, it's cool to have the rudder block. It's cool to have little tiny sanding blocks sometimes that you can get into little tiny places. So every now and then, or you know, I glue sandpaper onto all sorts of sticks and dowels to get into tiny places. So there you go. Oh, to cut the notch, first measured, got a right angle line, cut the first notch with a razor saw, then put the block up against the edge, cut the next slot there, then went in, deepened them enough, came through, marked it up against the hull, dug that portion out, and there's your hole. Easy. These things have to be simple to build, and that's one reason I'm looking at perhaps this might be the solution. Readily available, good fitting coupler. I can run this thing on a 3S battery, or I could run it on 3 little tiny 1S batteries wired in series that I can get away with conventional receivers, conventional servos and such. So that's a big consideration there in terms of cost. And I think this whole motor gearbox arrangement was $10. So that's a pretty cool deal there. Anyway, that's the latest from the Stink Bug Works. Until next time, jet out.